Prime Minister, a few comments on Bloomberg News last night moved the dollar quite a bit. Were you surprised by that reaction?
Whether it moved the dollar or not is very much a different issue. There are lots of things that move that. I mean, the reality is the New Zealand exchange rate's quite high at the moment, and it's been subject to significant speculation. It's also true that you're seeing quite a lot of weakness in the US currency and the euro as a result of their quantitative easing program. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be quite a volatile time for the New Zealand dollar.
Do you think it's overvalued currently where it is?
Well, our view has been that above 80 cents against the US, it puts pressure on our exporters. I mean, there's a counter to that, and it obviously makes imported goods cheaper and the imported components of exported goods cheaper, but it certainly puts pressure on some exporters, there's no question about that.
Bloomberg wrote that you signalled that the onus on aiding growth was lay with the central bank rather than the government. Could you elaborate on those comments?
Well, I haven't seen the comments. What I'd say is there's certain things that the government can do, and those things we directly control. The level of bureaucracy, the way laws in New Zealand are applied, like the RMA and the efficiency of that, all of those things, the level of infrastructure. What we can't do is alter the exchange rate. That's really something which, in a freely floating market, is subject to the market's interpretation and subject to a very extreme conditions. It's not the government's view that we should intervene.
Do you know if there's any more discussion or any discussion about the upcoming new policy targets agreement and whether there'll be any reference to the exchange rate and the level of the exchange rate more than there is?
I can't answer the last bit, but it's part of the contract that the new governor negotiates a new set of policy targets agreements with the Minister of Finance. So at some stage Graham Wheeler will sit down with Bill English and do that, and they'll have to be agreed. My understanding briefly of talking to Bill is that there's unlikely to be significant changes in the PTA.
Given the projections for the economy and the stage it is in, does the government view the OCR at an appropriate level, do you think, at the moment?
Well, it's just not my job to comment on that. That's the Reserve Bank Governor's job. I mean, as I said yesterday, New Zealand has an OCR which is higher than other countries, so that's been noted by both S&P and others as an advantage for New Zealand because it just indicates we've got room to move if we needed to. And just like the health of our general debt levels is low, so it gives us some room to move. I mean, they're just known advantages to New Zealand, but whether it should go up or down or what it should do, that's a matter for the Reserve Bank Governor.